महाराज जी की जय। तदीय तिरुभाव तिथि की जय। नित्यलीला पुरुषों विष्णुपाद सुमान भक्ति वेदांत भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोस्वामी महाराज जी की जय। नित्यलीला पुरुषों विष्णुपाद सुमान भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर की जय। श्री गोस्वामी बाबा जी महाराज जी की जय। ठाकुर की जय। जगन्नाथ दास बाबा जी महाराज जी की जय। रूपाचार्य गुरुवर्ग की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कवि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत भक्त वृंद की जय। ब्रजमंडल परिक्रमा की कार्तिक व्रत की पूजा व्रत की जय। श्री राधा दामोदर व्रत की जय। पालनकारी भक्त वृंद की जय। भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रमानंदे।
I can't duck out there. I'm just gonna walk by.
चंद्राय राधिकाय सदाय कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। सर्वप्रथम अस्मदीय परमानंद गुरुपाद में असंख्य कोटि प्रणति ज्ञापन करता हूँ। तदनंतर उपस्थित पूजनीय सन्यासी वृंद, समस्त वैष्णवजन, सज्जनों, माताएं बहनों, सभी को मेरा प्रणाम निवेदन। आज बड़ी खुशी का विषय है। एक वर्ष के अंदर जो कि गुरुवर्ग के तिरुभाव तिथि जो हमारे सामने उपस्थित है। गत साल जो पिछले दिन श्रीमान भक्ति वेदांत बामन गोस्वामी महाराज अस्मदीय परमानंद गुरुपाद पद्म के तिरुभाव तिथि, वैसे ही आज प्रभु के चरण श्रीमान भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद जी के भी तिरुभाव तिथि। वैष्णव चरित्र सदाई पवित्र। गुरुवर्ग के अति महत्व चरित्रावली गुणावली श्रवण करने से हृदय में कल्याण होता है, हृदय परिवर्तन होता है। भगवान की लीला कथाओं को सुनने से जैसे हृदय पवित्र होता है, उससे भी कहीं अधिक गुरुवर्ग की कथाएं हैं। भगवान श्री कृष्ण ने साधुओं से ऋषियों से कहा कुरुक्षेत्र में कि हे महान साधुओं, बड़े बड़े ऋषि वहां उपस्थित हैं। बोले कि न धर्मयानि तीर्थानि न देवा मृत्शिला मया ते गुणांतुरुकालेन दर्शनादेव साधव। कि तीर्थों में जाने से पवित्र होता है, मूर्तियों की पूजा करने से हृदय पवित्र होता है, गंगा जमुना आदि नदियों में स्नान करने से पाप ताप दूर होता है, परंतु समय लगता है। पुनंती कालेन पवित्र होता है पर समय लगता है। परंतु दर्शनादेव साधु, साधु पुरुषों के दर्शन मात्र, उनकी कथाओं के श्रवण कीर्तन स्मरण इस सब के साथ साथ सत्य तत्क्षणात् पवित्र होता है। येषां संस्मरणात् सत्य शुद्धंति वै क्रिया किं पुनर्दर्शन स्पर्शन पाद शौच स्नादेवी। इन महान पुरुषों के दर्शन स्पर्शन और उनकी सेवा करने का पाद प्रक्षालन करने का यदि सौभाग्य प्राप्त हो जाए तो जीवन में इससे बढ़कर के और परम लाभ क्या हो सकता है। कोई प्रभु के चरण श्री स्वामी महाराज जी जिनकी कथाएं प्रातः काल से चल रही हैं, विविध वक्ताओं ने वर्णन किया है, जिन्होंने विश्व जगत में एक आगमन सृष्टि करते हुए सबको बदल दिया है। दुनिया के नेता लोग अपने वाणी के बाद जाल में अपने में फंसा सकते सकते हैं। और देवता लोग जीवों के कामनाओं को, इच्छाओं को भले ही पूर्ण कर सकते हैं, परंतु उनके हृदय को बदलकर भक्ति में लगाना ये अत्यंत दुर्लभ, बड़ा ही कठिन काम है। ये केवल साधु पुरुषों ने ही ये जिम्मेदारी उठाई है। भागवत जी में कहा है, जैसे भगवान अपनी दोनों भुजाओं के द्वारा धर्मम मायावाद रूपी अपसिद्धांत कुसिद्धांत शून्यवाद को विताड़ित करके संपूर्ण विश्व में जिन्होंने अपरागित कृष्ण प्रेम भक्ति का आरोहण सृष्टि कर दिया और विश्व जगत में कृष्ण प्रेम प्रफुल्लित किया, ऐसे आज श्रीमद् भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज जी के तिरुभाव तिथि पर उनके गुणावली का हम लोग स्मरण करते हैं। एक बार मैं जुहू इस्कन मंदिर में गया तो वहाँ हमारे एक रघुनाथ ब्रह्मचारी, तो उनके साथ में एक भक्त बड़े हंसी मजाक करने लगे। बोले भाई हंसी मजाक हो रही है, बड़ी बड़ी बातें कर रहे हैं, क्या बात है? तो उस समय उन्होंने कहा, मैंने जब पूछा कि भाई क्या बात है, बड़े मजेदार बातें करी, तो बात क्या है समझाओ हमें। उस समय उन्होंने बताया, बोले भाई जिस व्यक्ति ने बात की वो एक स्मगलर था, स्मगलिंग करता था एयरपोर्ट में। जब स्वामी महाराज जी विदेश से लौट करके एयरपोर्ट में उतरे तो सभी भक्तों ने उनका स्वागत किया, कीर्तन करते हुए उन्हें ले आए। सभी लोग गाड़ी में आ रहे थे, वो स्मगलर भी उनके साथ और एक कार में बैठ करके आए। स्वामी महाराज जी मंदिर में आकर के प्रणाम किया, परिक्रमा की और बैठ करके कुछ हरि कथा सुनाने लगे। उनके कथा प्रवचन के बाद में एक नियम है कि सभी से पूछते आपका किसका क्या प्रश्न है पूछे और हम सबका उत्तर दें। सभी लोग अपना अपना प्रश्न पूछने लगे। उस समय वो स्मगलर जो पीछे बैठा हुआ था उसने कहा, गुरुजी मेरा एक प्रश्न है। बोले क्या प्रश्न? बोले मैं एकांत में आपके साथ में कुछ बात करूंगा, यहाँ सबके सामने नहीं बोलूंगा। बोले अच्छी बात है। तो उस समय गुरुजी ने कहा कि आओ मेरे कमरे में। तब उसको कमरे में बुला लिया। बुलाते ही उसने क्या की, जब सभी भक्त लोग बाहर दरवाजे से बाहर खड़े हैं उस समय उसको बुला लिया। तो अंदर में जाते ही उन्होंने हाथ से दरवाजे को धक्का मार दी, तो अपने आप दरवाजा बंद हो गया। अंदर से कोई अंदर आ ही नहीं सके, केवल स्वामी प्रभुपाद जी अकेले। इतने में प्रभुपाद जी अपने कमरे में जाकर के लौट करके घूम करके उनसे कहा, बोलो क्या पूछना चाहते हो, बात बोलो। इतने में उसने क्या किया, अपने जेब में से पिस्तौल निकाल ली। पिस्तौल निकाल करके स्वामी महाराज जी के छाती पर धर दिया। बोले कि स्वामी जी 1 लाख डॉलर चाहिए। बोले 1 लाख डॉलर? बोले अच्छा 1 लाख डॉलर दिया जाएगा, कोई बात नहीं, पर 7 दिन का टाइम दो। अभी हमारे पास डॉलर कहाँ है, 7 दिन में हम व्यवस्था बना करके फिर रख देंगे, तुम्हें दिया जाएगा। पर एक शर्त है, 7 दिन तक मैं हरि कथा करूंगा, मेरे प्रवचन में सामने आकर के बैठना पड़ेगा। सुबह शाम हम दोनों टाइम हरि कथा सुनाएंगे, तुम्हें 7 दिन बैठ करके सुनना पड़ेगा। बोले कि ठीक है, मैं आऊंगा, प्रवचन सुनूंगा। सामने बैठा लिए, 7 दिन प्रवचन सुना दिए। प्रवचन सुनाने के बाद में बोले चलो मेरे कमरे में ले जा करके कमरे में रुपए की थैली या बैग की एटाई की, जो डॉलर की एटाई की, उनके सामने खोल दिया। बोले कि लो इसको उठा कर ले जाओ। इतने में उन्होंने कहा अब लेता ही नहीं, अब देते हैं। गुरुजी बोले उठाते क्यों नहीं, ले जाओ डॉलर ले जाओ। तो उस समय गुरुजी के पैरों में गिर पड़े। बोले कि गुरुदेव अब मेरा भूल संशोधन हुआ, मेरी आंखें आपने खोल दी, आप मुझे उद्धार करें। पैर में गिर पड़े। हमने जीवन भर क्या अन्याय, क्या गलती की, क्या पाप कर्म किया, आज मुझे बचाए, आप कृपा करें। उस समय बोले कि क्या चाहिए बताओ? कि गुरुजी आप मेरा उद्धार करें, हमें मंत्र दीक्षा दे और हमें डरा नहीं चाहिए। बोले जाओ सिर मुड़ा करके आओ। तो सिर मुड़ा करके वे स्नान करके जब भी आए कपड़े पहनकर, तब गुरुजी ने उन्हें मंत्र दीक्षा दी। तो उस समय गुरुजी ने उन्हें मंत्र दीक्षा दी और उस समय उसने भी अपने सारे परिवार वाले को बुला लिया, सभी को मंत्र दीक्षा दिला करके खिला पिला करके सबको भेज दिया। बोले भाई तुम लोग घर जाओ, मैं यहाँ गुरुजी के पास में रहूंगा। तब से वे गुरुजी के पास में रहने लगे। एक दिन स्वामी महाराज जी आंगन में ऐसे घूम रहे थे। उस समय बड़ा मंदिर बना नहीं, केवल छोटा मोटा कुछ कमरे ही बने थे। तो चारों वाल खुला था, कुत्ते बहुत घूम रहे थे इधर उधर। उस समय उस व्यक्ति ने जा करके गुरुजी से कहा, गुरुजी आपने तो सबको सारी सेवाएं दी, मुझे आप कुछ सेवा दीजिए। बोले अच्छा सेवा चाहिए? गुरुजी ने कहा है यहाँ जितने कुत्ते घूम रहे हैं सारे कुत्तों को भगाना, यही तुम्हारी ड्यूटी है, तुम्हारी सेवा है। तो वो व्यक्ति बोले कि गुरुजी ने मुझको कुत्ते भगाने की सेवा की, आज मेरा जीवन इसी तरह से परिवर्तन हुआ। तो ये भक्त ने ऐसे तो बड़े हंसी मजाक की बात थी। ऐसे ऐसे लोगों को जो डकैत, गुंडे, बदमाश, नास्तिक, कुतार्की सबको परिवर्तन कर दिया, ऐसे ऐसे महान पुरुष, उनको चरण दर्शन करने का मुझे सौभाग्य प्राप्त हुआ था 78 में। महाराज जी के साथ में, गुरु जी के साथ वृंदावन में उनके पास प्रतिदिन हम लोग जाया करते थे। ऐसे महाराज श्री जो कि अपार करुणा वर्षण करने वाले स्वामी प्रभुपाद जी के चरणों में हम आज प्रणाम निवेदन करते हैं। अभी वैष्णव लोग वे उनके गुणावली का वर्णन करेंगे। पंचा गुरुवत्र से कृपा सिंधु भरे
So this Hare Krishna, this one, you should know that no one ever put a gun to my guru's chest because I would have killed him first. So this morning and the late morning we had a number of offerings being given by disciples of our Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj or Prabhupada. And this evening, before the Arti, which is at 7:30, we have some time for calling on a number of other disciples. We have a list, and I'm trying to give opportunity for all. So I'm requesting that the devotees who are speaking should try to keep it short so that everyone can have some opportunity to speak. This is the final chance this evening. So, to begin, I'm going to call on one of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, senior devotee, who helped the preaching mission in the Latin American countries in the beginning of Krishna consciousness movement there, and who is presently helping Srila Gurudev's mission so much, along with his wife, Bhavatarini Devi. So I'm calling on Sri Hari Prabhu to come and glorify Srila Prabhupada.
Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunnavani Pastajari Sadam. First of all, I offer my most humble obeisances, Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam to my Gurudeva, my Diksha Gurudeva, and equally so to my Shiksha Gurudeva, Om Vishwabhat Paramahamsa Vivajayacharya Sutta Sati Shishmat Bhaktivedanta Narayana Dash. I've never spoken in the assembly of such honorable and great devotees, I must admit. There are so many things that we can say about Srila Gurudeva, Prabhupada, Sri Guru. The beginning, I was the first devotee there in Buenos Aires, in Argentina. I met the devotees actually in my traveling in 1971 in Berkeley, and I think I bought a magazine. At that time I was into the youth movement, and of course a lot in trying to find peace, love. And funny enough, the first magazine, my first BGG is Balaram Killing Monster. It was very attractive. So every time I hitchhiked or went across the country, devotees were there. But I never really, everybody was telling me, well, this movement, they're fanatics, they're fascists, they don't like women. They want to encase you in this society. So there I am, I'm coming from a family that funded churches in Argentina. We came from Spain. And one thing my mother taught me was I always love God. Don't worry about the society, because I've seen it all. Because we know how hypocrisy creeps in. So I always had faith and always try to find love of God. But then again, I didn't know who God was. I always asked her, who is God? Where is God? What am I doing here? In my search, Buenos Aires is a very cultural place, in a way. I mean, there's about 95% of the population is European. We have French, we have Italians, we have Spanish, German, Swiss. So there were, Vivekananda actually came to Buenos Aires in the turn of the century. So you can see that all that influence, including the learning about God in those days where either you remain in the Catholic Church, full of fear that if you leave you'll be in mortal sin, or you take to the new philosophies that were actually describing an impersonal aspect of God. It was pretty dry. I just couldn't finish all the books. Those books on Raja Yoga where he says they were maybe about 100 pages long. That was all the books. So, in my search, I'm into Berkeley and continuing my traveling. I keep meeting devotees, and one day I opened the magazine, and there is Srila Prabhupada. It's a black and white photo of one of his preaching engagements. And Srila Prabhupada the photograph is his arms up. And I said, wow, I guess he likes the way worship. But let me give you a background. In Argentina was a big dictator after having a democratic country for a long time, 1810 to. So in the 40s, when it was fashionable to have a dictator, Perón was one of them, was it? And he used to like to go on the balcony and go like you can imagine that. Well, we used to say that was a great turn on. I turned the magazine off, but I kept on being attracted to the devotees somehow. And I kept meeting them everywhere. I go from coast to coast hitchhiking, and I met them in New York, and again, sweet balls and a magazine. So, from little, they used to ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, archaeologist. People go, oh, he's weird. But I had this inkling of coming to this ancient knowledge. I wanted to know. And when I heard about India, I had to be there. So at that time, I was 18 years old and convinced my father to let me take a break from college. He said, okay, I give you a ticket, you gotta make the rest. So I came to the United States, the devotees said, go on to England. All my purpose, my mind was to come all the way to India. Later on, I realized that Srila Prabhupada saved me in many different ways. And he had many gifts from me. And so, later on, I was doing Sankirtan, traveling Sankirtan to the United States. We went to Europe, and from Europe, we crossed all Europe, all Central Asia, and we ended up here in Gurudeva. All the way, including all the way up to Mayapur, which Srila Prabhupada was there. So, in my upbringing as a Christian, God was such a figure so far away. And it was all in all reverent, so you can't imagine thinking of God having pastimes. It wasn't there. And if you study any art book, and I finally went to the Sistine Chapel as devotee, if you see the frescoes in the front, where the Mass is held, there's God. It's an old man with white beard. Not very attractive. And it's always a thunderbolt. That was one conception. So imagine living in a society like this and then meeting or finding this amazing personality clarifying and bringing out who God is. I've seen posters of Gopal and I thought, oh, what a beautiful youth. And then about a year later, when I met the devotees, I said, yeah, Sannyas this is Krishna. That's the way he looks. He's eternally youthful. So that makes sense. God, why not? We're looking for eternal life. We want to be young forever, we want to be beautiful. What kind of God be like that is supreme? Anyhow, all those things were revealed to me in time by my dear Gurudeva, Srila Prabhupada. So let's say I joined the movement in March. By November, I took first initiation. And Prabhupada said, yes, he can take Diksha in 6 months. But due to circumstance, I want to make it short. My brother-in-law, who became brother-in-law, was a senior disciple who had opened many temples. And actually, he had been a sannyas. So it was a big scandal. It was another way to see Srila Prabhupada. So with the three of us, my sister, who was 11 years older than me, myself, and actually this devotee, Prabhu, and myself went to see Srila Gurudeva. So I came into his room. Of course, I was very, very nervous. I'm clenching 3 books, and they were the first 3 books translated into Spanish, into Castilian, actually, that's another tongue. And these books were really hard to understand by any standard of if you were from Argentina or if you were from Spain. I mean, my sister knew every single printer in Buenos Aires, with connections to Barcelona, connections to Italy. And they were saying, we tried to read these books, but they're not working. I mean, somebody has to edit them. So I did that. That was my first service. It was actually from day one was to translate. Hanuman was French-Canadian, and he was learning Spanish at that time. So he asked me to translate. That's how I learned Gita. And it was like everything that I have ever searched for was there in a bona fide way, in a way that I knew was coming from a representative of God who had no duplicity, no cheating in his agenda. So here I am at Srila Gurudeva's borders in Los Angeles, and he motioned me to come closer. So I just pitched myself a little bit, and the room looked like it was stretching away, and Gurudeva was in back, far away. I felt that all the karma, whatever I learned that karma was right over my head, and it was black, and that Gurudeva could see all this. So I was very timid. But Prabhupada kept asking me to come, motioning me to come closer and closer. And I said, I don't know why. Then I realized I'm clenching these books nervously, and then when I'm just about here, Srila Gurudeva Prabhupada is here, he's motioning me. He could move an eyebrow and you know what he was saying. He says, oh, the books. So I give him the books. Prabhupada opened his eyes, like I know many of you have seen, and he was happy. It was like giving candy to a child. Or it's such a crude description I can't really fathom. And so Prabhupada looked at the book, and in perfect pronunciation, perfect accent, he pronounces the title, like Conciencia de Krishna. So I'm thinking, wow, Prabhupada speaks Castilian too? He speaks Spanish too? So he looked at me and he says, he quoted a verse. And he says, Krishna speaks even the birds' language. So that was my report with Srila Gurudeva Prabhupada. I had very few meetings, I had some morning walks, but I always was very shy, I was very afraid of, I didn't think that I needed to ask anything since he asked me to read his books, and that was what I was doing, reading the books, going on Sankirtan, and I was very satisfied. But he always would read my mind. Next time, when a few years later, when I met him, my brother-in-law calls me and says, I'm in Los Angeles, and he says, oh, Srila Prabhupada is going to be in Mexico City, so let's go. It'll be your chance to take Diksha. It's been 2 years since he actually asked me to take Diksha, but since I had moved to LA and I was a new devotee, I was ready for that. So it was okay, it was great. So then I got a chance to meet again Srila Prabhupada in person, and that's when he gave me Diksha. Again, I was very nervous, so he has to guide my hand like a child to count to 10, and then repeat the mantra. So I left, and I went to collect Diksha for Srila Prabhupada, and I brought him a blanket. I went all the way to Guatemala from Mexico. It was about 1,000 miles or less. Brought him an onyx box and brought him some honey. And the day Srila Prabhupada is leaving, his room is very busy. And Aniruddha Prabhu told me a similar story. He was the same, too, very shy. And Prabhupada would read his mind and then tell him what to do. So I said, well, it's the last day. I have my last chance to really be with Prabhupada in his presence in his room and see if I can please him somehow. Well, I thought maybe experiment. If he tries honey, I heard feel like that. So I'm sitting in the room against the wall, I'm trying to be like a fly. And when it's Nita, his translator, his secretary, or sannyasis, everybody's buzzing around. Prabhupada's directing everyone to do what they needed to do to get ready to go. And the pot of honey was sitting there in his desk, and I'm thinking, how am I gonna? I wish I could please Srila Gurudeva. I wish, how am I gonna please him? If you could taste this honey, perhaps could be happy. And he looked at me one eye and says, honey, you cannot eat it right away. You have to wait 1 year. It's opposite. So as the years went by, I was wondering always, what was the best service to do? Was it Sankirtan? Was it reading? What was Prabhupada's desire, innermost desire? I didn't know. I tried everything. I went on Sankirtan, I collected money. By the time I got to India, I was always reading Srimad Bhagavatam. I believe it was the 6th canto by then coming out. Srila Prabhupada stressed that actually Archana was good for us too, but Sankirtan was helping us to be austere and give out a sense of enjoyment. And Arjuna was giving us kindness, punctuality, and giving up also our false ego of, oh, now I'm serving Krishna, I gotta be on time. Everything has to be for his pleasure. So I remained in Vrindavan. Unfortunately, I couldn't remain there. They only gave us 6 months visas, and that was it. So I'm going back to the West a year later, or less than a year later. Srila Prabhupada enters his final Leela. And he actually phoned my brother-in-law, actually asked Rupanuga to call Hanuman and tell him to come. But he said, not only him, but I want all of my disciples to come. Everyone, from the cook, everyone, they should close the temple and come to see. So immediately I went to the temple president, that fell in deaf ears, and there was other resolutions passed, and he left next morning, and the rest of the temple will remain. So again, I was short. I could never come close to him. I didn't know how to please him. And actually, I didn't know really who I was dealing with. This great personality who, you could say this was a statesman, he was a great diplomat, he was an erudite scholar, he was father figure, he was everything to us. So externally, it was an amazing personality, but internally, we didn't really invite him. But I always wanted to continue to somehow please him or understand his innermost desire. And finally, he always said, actually, everything is in my books. One day I got the service to, actually it was amazing, it was from morning time, I got a chance to go on a morning walk. All the way to the evening time with Kesava Prabhu says, come on, I have a service for you. What? You can guard Gurudeva. You can be right there. At that time in Mayapur there was only one big building was Srila Prabhupada was staying, and I believe it was the 3rd floor. I remember it was the 3rd floor. And I got there in the evening time. So I sat there at 6 to 9. It was very busy. The whole world was going by. Srila Prabhupada remembered everybody. Remember their names, their services, where they were from. Families were going by. The world really was going by. But he could know and remember which one. By 9 o'clock, Srila Prabhupada turned off the light and went to rest. The same place he had been all day long. I'm sure he had done other things. He went to morning walk and came back. But then on his desk, he would sit. He received the world and translate. By 11 o'clock, the lights went on again. There was a mosquito net, and Srila Prabhupada sat up from lying down on his phone, turned on his dictaphone and started to translate. All the way until they came back to look for me. 2 hours he slept. Somebody told me, he said, actually my wife reminded me and said, they said the 6 Goswami slept only 2 hours a day. He said, I'm not so advanced, I sleep 3. But I don't think he did. He probably only slept was 2 hours. So years went by, and actually I had noticed that yes, he was preparing an enormous and amazing treasure trunk with all of these amazing things that later on were revealed to us. I read them too. I read Chaitanya Charitamrita. I read Prabhupada's books. The Gita, I translated it. But never go close to really understand Gurudeva, Srila Prabhupada, until the time I met Srila Gurudeva. He said he actually put a torchlight right on the books And he says, this is what this is what the Guru wants you to have. This is the real treasure that you want to taste. Krishna Prem, Raja Prem, and even above that. So your Gurudeva was more beautiful than me and knew a lot more than me. He was a great scholar. He said if you would have the time, your Chaitanya Charitamrita would have been, his Charitamrita would be like this. It's enormous. In 10 years, imagine what he did. He opened 108 temples, did more than 70 volumes of literature. I'm on Sankirtan and I'm meeting these executives who maybe see him, they said, wow, he's an amazing person. I mean, we have problems trying to direct few people, few departments. He's on the world. He's managing this in 10 years. So yes, we're everywhere. Amazing. We heard too that Srila Prabhupada went to Tirupati in South India here. All the Brahmins wanted to get in the presidency of the temple and do administration. Prabhupada said, okay, I'll do that. I switch you. You direct ISKCON, I'll direct Venkateshwara temple. So yes, how can I do this? Still, with my dull senses, I'm trying to reach. I try to touch his form. I try to, and all I get is actually, in reading Bhakti-Pragyan Kesava Maharaj, he says, he puts himself actually in the lowest of positions. Even considers himself like Radha. He says, when I massage my Gurudeva, when I try to touch him, it was like me being Radha. And he put this form, this lila, I thought it was this material form where I can massage and touch him, and I just touch his illusory body. So I pray that you, oh brothers, all of you from Gaudiya Math, all of you who have known him, especially Gurudeva, and for me, I think he's the foremost disciple, the one that Prabhupada actually told us he was coming. In a very disguised way, Prabhupada called him. One night at 10:30 at night, he called my brother-in-law, was all worried because he's losing his GBC to another sannyas. And then, so Prabhupada calls him in the room at 10:30 at night. He said, come on, let's go, Prabhupada's calling me. And I said, Prabhupada, I don't get along with my god brothers. Prabhupada says, I didn't get along with mine either. But then he got serious. He counted with his fingers. He said, I met my Srila Gurudeva only about 10 times. But I followed him very well. I'm asking you to do the same. And Srila Prabhupada then asked, who's going to follow after you? Do you have someone in mind? Or he said, no. But I want you to go to the Vaishnava that your heart tells you to. Love and affection. Love and affection. Gurudeva says that all the time. When my mother, as I told you, came from lines of new priests and churches and all that, and when she met Srila Prabhupada and met the devotees, I said, wow, they all have love in their eyes. And then when I saw her again, and after Srila Prabhupada left, she says, there's some change here. Everybody's got fear in their eyes. We're remaining out of fear. What did we understand? What did I understand? Again, when I heard these words from Gurudeva, in love and affection, and I sat to his first lecture that I listened to, I said, yes, okay, Sri Guru is here again. And Prabhupada again became alive. So I'm begging again at your feet, at the lotus feet of all the sannyasis and Prabhus, Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, to please give me your grace so that I can one day accomplish this. His desire, his innermost desire to serve him.
One of the senior most devotees in our assembly who came to the Krishna consciousness movement in New York, and served Srila Prabhupada in India for many years while Prabhupada was present on the planet, and also had so many wonderful exchanges, personal exchanges with Srila Prabhupada. Whenever we're talking about Prabhupada, he says, "Oh yes, I remember one time Srila Prabhupada told me this," on almost any subject. So we can hear tonight from Srimad Bhagavad Das Prabhu about his experiences with Srila Prabhupada.
Om Jnana-Timirandasya Jnananjana-Salakaya Chaksuram-Vaitanyena Tasmai Sri Gurudeva Namo Vishnu-Padaya Krishna-Krishna-Krishna Srimate Bhakti-Vedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Charane Ye Vishesha Sanjavadi Paschatya Vishya Namo Om Vishnu-Padaya Larikaya Priyatmane Sri First of all, I would like to offer my most humble obeisances. I try to put Manjuli to lotus feet of my Guru Padma. Om Vishnu-Padaya Paramahansa Bhagavati-Charya Satarasati Sri His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, my teacher Guru. And then again, my most humble obeisances, my Srila Pushpanjali under the lotus feet of my teacher Guru. His Divine Grace, Sri Srimad Bhakti-Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And unto my first Shiksha Guru, His Divine Grace, Sri Srimad Gauragovinda Swami Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada is always a Nityasiddha. He, by his own description, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita has said that we should only pray, our only desire should be to be under the protection of a greatly advanced devotee, a pure devotee. This should be our only desire, no other desire. He said somehow, by Krishna's grace, I was placed under the protection of my father, a greatly advanced pure devotee of the Lord, who used to pray that I would be engaged as a servant of Srimati Radharani. And now, somehow or other, I am engaged in that service. So Srila Prabhupada indicated by this statement what was his actual relationship. Also, we know from Scripture that those acharyas who have come down in the line from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were also made servants of Srimati Radharani. And I also heard from Srila Gauragovinda Maharaj, who was the only disciple, Bhikshu disciple of Srila Prabhupada to have his complete darshan. He saw Srila Prabhupada's swarup, he saw his own swarup, he saw what was his eternal seva to Srila Prabhupada in the spiritual world, and he revealed it to me one day in a conversation. I was with some God brothers, and we were discussing different things about Srila Prabhupada's leaving this world. Oh, he left during the Brahma Vimohan Leela, which was about the cowherd boy. And then one time in Los Angeles, they asked him, "Are you a cowherd boy?" He said, "I don't know what I am, but I like cowherd boys." Then another time there was some other story about Srila, oh, he put Krishna Balaram in Vrindavan, so he likes cowherd boys. So we started thinking like this. And Srila Gauragovinda Maharaj said, "What? What are you saying? No, no, no. This is not correct. And he looked at all of us and he said, you should know that Srila Prabhupada is a gopi. Then later he told me a little bit more, and also he gave many lectures about this. Some in Odia, Muni Maharaj knows these things also. So Srila Prabhupada, this is how we learn, this is how we understand. From Guru, Srila Prabhupada has spoken in Chaitanya Charitamrita, this is what I am. From Shastra it is given, this is what Srila Prabhupada is. And from the Sadhus, from Srila Gurudeva Maharaj and from Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, we have also heard what is the position of our Srila Prabhupada. So we understand by Guru, Shastra and Sadhu. This is what Srila Prabhupada taught us. Srila Prabhupada, as a Nityasutta, was living out Narabhata Leela. But yet, he always was being reminded of what was his destiny. And he had the sense of destiny, of what he would become and what he would accomplish for his spiritual master. There is a story by one brahmachari, who was Srila Prabhupada's godbrother, who lived at the Bombay Mutt. During the 70s, this godbrother used to come to Juhu and visit with the devotees. And we were there one time, and he said that during the opening of the Bombay Mutt, I was in the room with Srila Bhakti Rakshak Srila Maharaj and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Srila Maharaj suggested to Srila Saraswati Thakur that Abhay Babu, he has done so much to organize this Mutt in Bombay. So you should appoint him president. He should be the Mutt commander. He should be in charge of this Mutt. So Srila Saraswati Thakur told, no. I have big plans for him. Not this president of temple. I have big plans for him. Then later, there was another discussion at that same time in Bombay that was told by Srila Kamo Madhusudan Maharaj, that they were sitting in the room. At that time, Madhusudan Maharaj's name was Narottam Brahmachari. So he was sitting there, and Srila Maharaj was there, Abhay Babu, Srila Prabhupada, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they were all sitting in the room. So Srila said they were talking about going to the West and preaching, bringing Krishna consciousness to the Western world. So at that time, Srila Saraswati Thakur said, they asked, who do you think should go? So he said, Narottam, he can go. He speaks very good English. So Madhusudan Maharaj told that at that time he began weeping. That Guru Maharaj, please don't give me this order, because I cannot live in separation from you. I cannot stay away from you, and if you give me this order, I will not be able to fulfill it, and my whole spiritual life will be destroyed. So when Saraswati Thakur saw him, he said, no, that's all right. You don't have to take this order. He said, anyway, Abhay Babu is going to do it. He will do everything. So like this, there was a sense of destiny. There is one other story about this sense of destiny given by Nayana Baba. Nayana Baba Maharaj, he told the story that in 1936 on the last Vrindavan Parikram with Srila Saraswati Thakur, that at that time Goswami Maharaj had just come back from UK, and they had a big pandal and a big assembly, all the sannyasis and brahmacharis, many saffron-clad devotees, sitting in front of Srila Saraswati Thakur, and to the side was grihastas and ladies like that. So at that time, Srila Saraswati Thakur was addressing the assembly, and he said, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted us to go to the Western world and to preach the mission of Mahaprabhu. He said, and my mother, Bhagavati Devi, made me vow on her deathbed that I would send devotees to the Western world to preach the mission of Mahaprabhu. So therefore, because of the requests of these great devotees, I have spent the lifeblood of Gaudiya Math to preach in the Western world. He said, up to now, we have not had a very big success. But Bhava said, just at that moment, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur looked away from all the sannyasis and he looked far over to the side. And Nayana Bhava said he appeared to be looking at me, but then as I saw him, I could see he was actually looking past me. Then I turned, and right there was a Vaibhava. And I was looking at Abhi's eyes, and he was looking directly at Srila Saraswati Thakur, and they were looking at each other, and there was a long moment of silence. And then Srila Saraswati Thakur turned to all the sannyasis and he said, I am going to make a prediction that the next person who goes to preach in the Western world, no matter how long it shall take, he will return with the whole world from his preaching. So in this way, there was a sense of destiny. Again and again, Srila Saraswati Thakur was saying, even on the day Srila Prabhupada got initiated, they asked, what service shall we give him? In time, he will do everything. This was Srila Saraswati Thakur's mood about Prabhupada. So in this way, they had a very intimate relationship. Very, very intimate. And Srila Prabhupada had very, very deep emotional feelings for his spiritual master and for the mission that was given to him from the very moment that they met. You are educated young men, Srila Saraswati Thakur told him. You will preach in the English language in the Western world and spread the mission of Mahaprabhu. So from the beginning, he took that message very seriously. Another feature of Srila Prabhupada, we have spoken much about his humility today. But when he got initiated, they asked, you have not given any name? He said, no, he's already named. Abhay Chana, he who is fearless. Fearless at the lotus feet of Krishna. One who knows that he is always with Krishna. I remember when Srila Gurudeva Maharaj asked about taking sannyas, Srila Prabhupada told, you must know what it means to take sannyas. That one must be fearless. A person is fearless because he always knows that he is there with Krishna, that Krishna is present with him, and he has no fear. Srila Prabhupada exemplified that fearlessness. Otherwise, how is it possible that at 69 years of age, when most people are hobbling around in the holy places, retiring and trying to find some little room to live out their days, that he boldly got on a steamship and traveled halfway around the world to preach the message of Mahaprabhu. So much deeply dedicated to his spiritual master, so fearless to come all alone, because he knew he was not alone. He was with Krishna. He knew that Krishna was with him. His relationship was so intimate that in his prayers on the ship on the way over, he told, oh Bhai, he called Krishna his brother, if you want the mercy of Srimati Radharani, then you will have to help me. So in this way, acting as the agent for Srimati Radharani, he's informing Krishna that if you want her mercy, if you want her love and affection, then you will have to help me to make this mission a success in spreading her glory. So So in this way, Srila Prabhupada was fearless. There was a fearlessness that no matter what he did, he could accomplish. When Srila Prabhupada was here in Vrindavan with us in the early days at Radha Damodar Temple, he told some of the devotees when he took us to the temple, he said, here at Radha Damodar is where I prepared myself for preaching in the Western world. So at that time, some of the devotees asked, so how should we prepare? Srila Prabhupada said, you don't have to prepare. I am empowering you. So we have come to understand how is it that such a personality empowers people, because such a Nityasiddha, Srila Prabhupada, he was always chanting Siddha Nam. Srila Gurudeva one day he explained that one who chants Siddha Nam, whatever he speaks, it must come true. So there is a story about Srila Prabhupada in the very early days when he first arrived in America. He used to walk along this long walk in the Riverside Park, along the West River, I think it's called, Hudson River. So he used to walk up and down there, and there was one elderly man whom we came to know just after Srila Prabhupada left. And this elderly man said sometimes he would come and sit on the bench next to me, and we would talk. And Srila Prabhupada would joke with him a little bit. He said, how old are you? I am this age. Where do you come from? And like that. Prabhupada would just make small talk with him a little bit. Once he even asked him, do you have all your teeth? And the man said, no, I don't. I'm missing some. Prabhupada said, look, I have all my teeth. I'm 70. Like this. Prabhupada was joking with him. So then the man said to him, what are you doing here? You come from India. What are you doing? He said, he said, I have hundreds of temples all over the world. And I have printed hundreds of books about Krishna consciousness in many languages all over the world. And I have thousands of followers that are distributing these books and teachings all over the world. And I have restaurants and this and that. And the man said, really? I've never heard of this thing. Prabhupada said, yes, it's all there. I'm only separated from it by time. The sense of destiny, the fearlessness that it was going to happen, and the pronunciation, it was there and then on that bench that Srila Prabhupada manifested the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He spoke what his vision was, what his destiny was, and what he spoke manifested. This is the power of Siddha Nam. Those who chant Siddha Nam, what they speak comes true. This is their power. And so what he spoke that day on the bench manifested all over the world by the power of his chanting. Therefore he told the devotee, you don't have to prepare, because I am empowering you. I am saying, print books and they manifest. I am saying, distribute books and it manifests. I am saying, open temples and it manifests. This was the power of Srila Prabhupada. This is the power of a Mahapurush, a Mahabhagavad, one who is chanting Siddha Nam. Many of my God brothers who have tried to understand Srila Prabhupada's teachings have often quoted that Srila Prabhupada said there is Vani and there is Vahu, and my Vani is more important than my Vahu. There are many instructions in Srila Prabhupada's books, and many of them I could not understand very easily. I had read the books for many, many years, but a little bit under the guidance of Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj, I started to get some view of what was going on. But unfortunately, because of my apparatus, my devotional service was halted for some time. But again, under the guidance of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj, I am now able to start mining the gems that have been buried deep within the purports of Srila Prabhupada's books. Srila Gurudeva Maharaj used to talk about Srila Prabhupada's purports, his commentary on the Bhagavatam and the Chaitanya Charitamrita as being a vast ocean of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And that deep within that ocean, just like in the material ocean, there is Ratnagarbha, gems in the belly of the ocean. So Srila Gurudeva Maharaj used to say that deep within this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Srila Prabhupada's purports, there are many Bhakti Ratna, gems of Bhakti. And you cannot get those gems, you cannot find them so deep unless you have the guidance of a Mahaprabhu. Unless you have the guidance of a pure devotee. You cannot find it. He said, you will just skim across the surface of the ocean and you will catch only fish. So therefore, under the guidance of Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, I have started to find out what it means when Srila Prabhupada said, the body is more important than the Babu. Under his guidance, I started to see what is Vani. Just like in the second canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, second chapter, 36th verse, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada gives the indication. What is the most important thing? He says there's 9 processes of devotional service, and any one of them can help you to achieve perfection. But of all those 9 processes, the most important is Shravan or hearing. He said, unless and until, Srila Prabhupada says this in the purport, unless one hears properly and sufficiently, properly from the mouth of the Mahabharata, sufficiently with the proper mood of greed, of loyal, unless one hears properly and sufficiently, he cannot even execute any of the other processes of devotional service. So yes, this is the Vani. If you are talking about Vani, then you should understand the Vani. You should understand in the first canto, first chapter, 6th verse, in the purport, hearing and explaining the revealed scriptures is more important than reading them. One can assimilate the revealed scriptures only by hearing and explaining. Shravanam Kirtan. Only by hearing and explaining. So, in this explanation, Srila Prabhupada uses a very unique word, assimilate. Now, he could have said, you could learn the revealed scriptures. You could know, you could understand, you could realize, you could... So many words he could have used, but he used assimilate. The word assimilate is very significant because it means the transformation of food into living tissue. In other words, the transformation of this transcendental sound vibration will have an effect on the material condition of the living entity. What is that effect? 3rd canto, 25th chapter, 33rd verse. By the practice of Bhakti Yoga, one will digest the subtle body. Therefore, the ahankara, the mana, the buddhi, the subtle body becomes digested, it becomes dissolved, and the transcendental body manifests. Again, Srila Prabhupada explains using the word assimilate. 3rd canto, 2nd chapter, 5th verse, that Vidura was amazed by hearing the transcendental information from Uddhava and could understand that he had assimilated extensive love of God. So in the verse again, Prabhupada is using this word assimilate. And he makes the point in the purport that the word assimilation is indicative of the second stage in these 3 stages of love. He says there's 3 stages of devotional service. The first stage is the practice of the regulative principles of devotional service. And the second stage is the assimilation and steady practice of devotional service, or bhava. And the third stage is the ecstatic prema of devotional service. So this assimilation of the revealed scriptures means that by digesting the subtle body and manifesting the true transcendental body, one assimilates the ecstasies of devotional service. This indicates the very deep realization of Srila Prabhupada's knowledge of the Sanskrit and English language and how he gave such powerful information in his books. But again, all of this happens by hearing. Srila Prabhupada states in the 53rd verse of the 7th chapter of the Antilila in the purport, one should not foolishly think that they can understand the process of devotional service simply by reading books. One must take shelter of a Vishuddha Vaishnava and under his guidance realize the purport. So these are the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. To my godbrothers who say the Bani is more important than the Bapu, I ask them to please understand this Bani. You please read the Bani of Srila Prabhupada and understand his teaching. Understand what he is trying to say. Another important thing that we can learn from this concept of digesting the subtle body is that no one can have, if the first principle of Bhakti Yoga, which digests the subtle body, is hearing, Shravana, then whom you're hearing from could not have a subtle body. A Nitya Siddha like Srila Prabhupada who comes into this universe will never accept the 5 forms of ignorance. Moha, Maha, Moha, Tamishramandam, Tamishraman, Tamah. He will never accept that. He will never accept Ahankar. He will never accept the material mind or intelligence. Therefore, the spiritual body is directly inhabiting this physical body. The eternal, transcendental spiritual form is directly inhabiting this physical body. Srila Prabhupada explains this in the 4th canto, 22nd chapter, 26th verse, in the purport where he says that just like the dry coconut remains inside the husk of the coconut, but is loose and independent from the actual coconut. He said similarly, the pure devotee lives within the body in the same way. And because of his transcendental presence within the body, then this material body becomes Chinmaya Sarir, a spiritualized body. So in this way, Srila Prabhupada explains what his actual position is, what the actual position of such a Nitya Siddha is. That they are completely spiritualized. These things have been discussed by Srila Gurudeva these past few days. These instructions are there in Srila Prabhupada's books. Srila Prabhupada in one lecture one time told us that the inhabitants of Vrindavan are madly in love with Krishna. They have no other desire but to love Krishna. He said, they don't care that Krishna is God. He may be God or he may be whatever he is. They only know one thing, we love Krishna. This is Braj Prem, Braj Rasi Prem. They love Krishna because he's Krishna. Not because he's God, not because he's anyone or anything, but just because they love Krishna. Srila Prabhupada told in one lecture about Srimati Radharani that Srimati Radharani, she is the dearest devotee. And if you want to really satisfy Krishna, he said, first you should satisfy Radharani. If you want to offer something to Krishna, first you should offer it to Radharani. You offer it to Radharani and say, my dear Radharani, you please give this to your beloved Krishna. And then, he said, Srimati Radharani will say, here is something from a very great devotee. He's even greater than I. He said, this is the mood of Srimati Radharani. So like this, he gave us all these indications. One sitting in the room in Calcutta, one devotee asked him, who is better? Who is greater? Mahaprabhu or Srimati Radharani? And he thought a minute, and he looked at us, seeing if we could digest such information. Then he said, Srimati Radharani. Then he pointed to the picture. He said, look, here you see, Radha has become very angry with Krishna. She is angry with Krishna because he has cheated on her. And now he has come and he is kneeling at her feet. He has placed his crown and his flute and his necklaces and his head at the feet of Srimati Radharani. He said, therefore Radharani is the greatest. So Srila Prabhupada gave us these indications. He taught us these things. He taught us the complete Siddhanta. And every disciple of Srila Prabhupada should know that what Srila Prabhupada taught us is also the same exact message is being taught by Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj. And all the disciples of Srila Narayana Maharaj should know that whatever Srila Narayana Maharaj is teaching us was also being taught there in the books of Srila Prabhupada. We should understand these things very clearly. Now I've spent some time talking about these things, and I know a lot of devotees remember that I was with Srila Prabhupada in the last days when he was leaving this world, in the times when Srila Narayana Maharaj was coming to visit him. And I remember the first time I met Srila Narayana Maharaj at the feet of Srila Prabhupada. And at that time, we came into the room. Our Srila Prabhupada was lying on the bed. And he was very, very weak. His skin was completely translucent. His bones were showing on every part of his body. His weakness and his frailty was very, very obvious to everyone. And lying on the bed that night, that day, actually it was early in the day, Srila Prabhupada was deep in samadhi. He was deep in his meditation. And Srila Narayana Maharaj came into the room, and this was the first time we met. He turned to me. At that time I had a big beard because I was doing Chaturmas. I was one of only 2 devotees at that time that was doing Chaturmas. I was eating only 1 meal a day like that, doing brunch. So he asked, what is your name? First he asked my name. I told Bhagavata. And what is this? Why you're having? Then I told him I'm doing Chaturmas. Oh, you're doing Chaturmas. So then he said to me, he took my arm. Come. I want to show you. And he took me next to the bed. Then he called 2 other devotees. You come. I'll show you something. He said, you see your Guru Maharaj? His hands above his head like this. His head is tilted back like this. His back is swayed like this. His feet, his toes pointed down. Now, your Swami Maharaj is dancing with Radha and Krishna. That time, that moment, he became my Shiksha-guru, but I didn't know. I didn't know at that moment he became my Shiksha-guru. I did not formalize that relationship for some years. Then at that time, he had some young brahmacharis with him, I don't know. Maybe that time Kirtan Maharaj was there, I don't know, or Madhav Maharaj, others, they were there. And he began to sing with the, what was it? Then he sang with the Banjari Badao, there was another devotee. And when he sang, Sri Rupa Manjari Badao, Se Mora Sampada, he sang, we all began weeping. We all began. It was so powerful. The transcendental sound from his voice was so powerful. And later that day, after some hours, when Srila Prabhupada came out of his internal consciousness and he came to external consciousness, later that day he told, they asked him, Srila Prabhupada, what do you plan to do? How are you going to live? Because you are drinking only this much water and you are passing this much urine. So you will dehydrate, you will die. Srila Prabhupada said, yes, I'm thinking like that. So then we began weeping that Prabhupada, please, don't tell us these things. We don't want to hear this. Then he called one of the devotees in and he said to them, I have been talking with Krishna. So earlier that day, Srila Narayan Maharaj told, he is dancing with Radha and Krishna. And now he told, I have been talking with Krishna, confirming what Srila Narayan Maharaj has said. So they are very intimately connected. Then, Srila Narayan Maharaj, he had many deep discussions with Srila Prabhupada during that time. At that time, Srila Prabhupada directly instructed him that I have traveled the whole world now, I have done much to establish this society. He said, now we should preach together. He used these words. Now we should preach together. This is the order of Srila Prabhupada. So all of us should know that Srila Prabhupada's order is that we should preach together with Srila Narayan. This should be understood. Then, when he told Srila Narayan Maharaj that can you do certain things for me, Srila Narayan Maharaj told him, I accept you as my guru. Whatever you order me, I will do. So Srila Prabhupada, he asked him that you bring my god brothers here. I want to apologize to them. I have made some cutting remarks. And Srila Narayan Maharaj told, no, in such a worldwide mission, what you have done, this is nothing, he said. Then when one of Srila Prabhupada's god brothers came, I think his name was Indupati. That time he came to see Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada was begging him, you please forgive me, you please forgive me. Then Srila Narayan Maharaj told, please, why you are speaking like this? You have not committed any offense. And Srila Narayan Maharaj told, anyone who thinks you have committed offense, they themselves are an offender. This Srila Narayan Maharaj told, like this. So close, intimate relationship. Then that time, Srila Narayan Maharaj told that yes, you have built this worldwide mission. It is a very great thing. I will try to get the other devotees of Gaudiya Math to work with your devotees, but all of them should be a little humble, not only with each other, but also with the other devotees of Gaudiya Math. They should be humble. This is a great mission which you have built, and we should try to protect it, and we should preserve it. And Srila Prabhupada then ordered him, yes, you kindly instruct them, all of us, on this matter. I cannot speak. So this was the order again of Srila Prabhupada, that we should be instructed on how to protect and preserve the mission. And the mission is not just buildings. The mission is not just restaurants and buildings and money. No, the real mission is the sacred teachings of the Sampradaya. The real mission is the transcendental sound vibration from the lotus lips of the pure devotee. This is the mission of delivering Rasik Braja Prem Bhakti to the world. This is the mission to preserve and protect. This is what Srila Narayan Maharaj was entrusted with. This is what Srila Prabhupada wanted from him, and this is what he's trying to do. He promised, wherever you want me to, wherever they ask me to go, whatever they want from me, I will do my best. I consider you my future guru. I will do it. Now on the last day, when Srila Prabhupada was lying in the bed, I was reading for many, many months this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu with all the details of ecstatic emotions. And on the last day when Srila Prabhupada was leaving this world, he started to exhibit these ecstatic emotions. I saw what he told in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I saw him trembling, his whole body shaking and trembling, then rolling back and forth on the bed, this way and that way. Tears, so many tears coming from his eyes, hair standing on end. He arched his back, he began to roar very loud, and then belching very loudly. In this way, one ecstatic symptom after another he displayed over and over again. There were so many of us in the room. We were all chanting, we were all singing, we were all touching him, massaging him, doing so many things, but he was completely oblivious to everyone. Completely oblivious until Srila Narayan Maharaj came in the room. That time he came in the room, I was at the head, massaging Srila Prabhupada's head. He came around behind me and he kneeled right here, next to Srila Prabhupada's head, while I was massaging the head. And he leaned over and he whispered a mantra into the ear of Srila Prabhupada. And as soon as he whispered that mantra into the ear of Srila Prabhupada stopped. He came to external consciousness. Just like when Swarup Damodar would chant certain mantras in the ear of Mahaprabhu and bring him from internal consciousness to external consciousness. Just like that, Srila Narayan Maharaj was able, by the power of his Bhakti Shakti, to bring Srila Prabhupada to that external consciousness. And when he came to consciousness, he did not speak, he did not do it, he did one thing only. He lifted his hand and he placed it over the head of Srila Narayan Maharaj. His last externally conscious act was to give Srila Narayan Maharaj his blessing. I was a personal witness. I was only 12 inches away, 1 foot. I witnessed this with my own eyes. So I saw the intimate, deep relationship that they had. And Srila Prabhupada entrusted him with this very important mission of placing him in the Samadhi. And according to Hindu law, there's 2 laws in India. According to Hindu law, actually, Srila Narayan Maharaj is considered the rightful heir, the rightful acharya to follow Srila Prabhupada. In fact, if he wanted to, he could even make a court case using that Hindu law. But he would never do such a thing. Why? Because he promised Srila Prabhupada, I will preserve and protect your mission. Therefore, instead, what he did, he spent his own money out of his own pocket to go repeatedly to Bombay to help ISKCON win a court case. There was a court case by Madan Mohan Dev, Prabhupada's son. And in that court case, he said that Srila Prabhupada is not a Brahmin. Therefore, he cannot take sannyas. Therefore, he's only a businessman. And ISKCON is a business enterprise, and it belongs to the blood relatives. In this way, he tried to steal ISKCON. And Srila Narayan Maharaj, coming repeatedly to Bombay, gave evidence again and again. My Guru Maharaj was authorized by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to give sannyas. I was the one who performed the fire yielding. I was authorized to do the yielding. These things are authorized. The Vaishnava is as good as a Brahmin and more than a Brahmin. Like this, he quoted so many scriptures giving me evidence. By his evidence, this court case was won. By his evidence, this court case was won, and by his evidence, the mission was preserved and protected. This is the nature of a real pure devotee. This is the nature of a Shiksha Guru who made such a commitment to his Shiksha Guru that I will do whatever you ask me, whatever it takes. So we should understand very clearly what the mission of Srila Prabhupada was and how the mission of Srila Prabhupada is being carried on. Today is the disappearance day of my Guru Maharaj. He is there in Vrindavan, in his Samadhi. But I am here because the living transcendental sound vibration of my Guru Maharaj is being uttered in this place. That's why I am here. The transcendental representative of my Guru Maharaj's Vani is here. And that's why I am here. Srila Bhakti Rakshak Maharaj used to say, you should look to see where the current of Bhakti is flowing, and then go to that current and get connected. The current of Bhakti is flowing here, from the mouth of Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. So I want to thank everyone for being a little patient with me. I spoke maybe a little bit long, but I had some things that I wanted to say to everyone. And I want to thank everyone for their association and their sangha. I want to thank everyone for coming here and celebrating the feast, the disappearance day of my Guru Maharaj, who was very, very dear to me. And although I am not fit to be his disciple, I am not qualified, I simply pray for the blessings of all the Vaishnavas, that somehow or other I may become a qualified servant of my Diksha Guru and my Shiksha Guru, who all please bless me. Thank you very much. Jai Srila.
Very wonderful to hear all of these recollections of our beloved Srila Prabhupada and the divine connection between our Srila Gurudeva and Srila Prabhupada. So now I'd like to call on another very senior devotee in our assembly, a very intimate godbrother and friend, who I met in the very early days, 1970, 71, who served Srila Prabhupada very, very vigorously in his preaching mission throughout the 70s into the 80s, and now serving Srila Gurudeva with the same kind of energy and expanding his mission in South India. We're calling him my godbrother, Sripad Bhaktivedanta Vaidhana Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Namaste, Saraswati, Gaurava, Vicharve, Nirvishesha, so first offering on my most heartfelt and humble obeisances in the ministry of our beloved Srila Gurudeva Krishna Om Gospel Translation of Bhaktivinoda Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. And the same heartfelt obeisances in the ministry of our beloved Shiksha and Sannyasa Shri Srimad Bhaktivinoda Maharaj Swami Maharaj. And our respects to all the sannyasis, all the Vaishnavas, men and ladies. I know time is late, and I prepared about 10 different speeches for this occasion, but I have to chuck them all out now because none of them fit into our time frame. So instead, I'd just like to say a few brief words, and maybe leave a little time for some others to speak as well. That Srila Bhaktivinoda Krishna Maharaj, in his Upanishad, has said that if you want to understand and come to Bhagavad Bhakti, you must come to the point of Vishwambhava Guru Seva. This is intimate, deep, emotional, spiritual connection with one's Gurudeva, very deep kind of service. And this is something which is all of our destiny, all of our need. But when our Gurudeva was here, we were all very young boys and girls, all in our 20s. And he only stayed with us for a few years. I joined in 1971, and by 1977, a mere six and a half years later, my Gurudeva was gone from